Hello, everybody. I hope that this works. Okay. Hopefully, we're here. Um, I'm gonna give people some time to come in. The quality of the video looks funny for me, but hopefully, it's clear for you. I am starting a little bit early. So if you guys are here and if you can hear me, please leave a comment. Let me know I'm not alone. Let me know that you can see me and that you can hear me. That would be great. Okay. I'm starting to see some eyeballs coming in. I'm not used to doing Facebook Lives this way. So bear with me if things are glitchy. Okay, people are coming in. Please let me know if you can hear me. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're from and maybe what time of day it is there. It is 9 a.m. here in California. And I'll get started in just a moment. Yay, people are coming in. Leave me a comment, please. Let me know where you guys are from while we're waiting for people to come in. I'm not seeing any comments yet. Makes me a little nervous. I hope you can hear me. Let me see. Click on comments. Okay, I'm not seeing anything yet. Anything would be good. A little comment to let me know that you guys can hear me or see me. And I'm wearing a special shirt for you all today. I hope you like it. Okay. All right, more people are coming in. All right, I want to be respectful of your time. For those of you that are here on time, I appreciate it so much. I don't want to take your whole morning up. So I will get started. Again, I'm not seeing any comments coming in. Hopefully, maybe I can check on my phone. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me and can see me. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to just check my phone, see if... Okay, looks like I'm live. Oh, this is weird. Okay, Allie, small delay. Yes, okay, good. All right, so this is so weird. I'm seeing comments on my phone and I'm not seeing them on the screen. That's totally weird. Okay, let me click a comment button. Okay. Well, thank you, Allie. I appreciate your comment. I will keep my phone handy so that I can look at the comments there. You got to go with the flow, right? Okay. So let's dive into it. Oops, I don't want to hear myself. All right, I'm going to just keep this handy for comments. All right, here we go. Let's get started. So, my name is Michelle Stern. I run the business called Pooch Parenting. Some of you may have seen it online. I make a lot of educational graphics about dog training and about kids and dogs. And I am based in California, in the United States, in the Bay Area. I've got 2 dogs of my own. I've got a 12-year-old, 70-pound mixed breed dog, and I've got an 18-month-old border terrier who makes an appearance. I'm sure you'll see him at some point. He'll probably get fussy because I'm not paying attention to him, and so I'll let him say hi. I have 2 children. My daughter is 20 and my son is 18. And both of them are taking college classes at the moment. One is at college, one is taking classes from home because of COVID. Let's see, how did I get to where I am now? So I specialize in working with families who've got kids and dogs. So part of that is because I am a parent myself. I was also an educator. So I taught high school biology and environmental studies for 8 years, and I founded and ran a cooking school for children for another 8 years. And I worked with a lot of toddlers at that time. So it's kind of interesting because toddlers and cooking are very similar to toddlers and knives, right? I mean, toddlers and knives while you're cooking is a lot like toddlers and puppies, right? You've got sharp objects, you have things that are unpredictable. And so in any case, there's a lot of overlap in terms of management. And I do think that's one thing that I am pretty good at. in terms of managing families who've got kids and dogs, as I kind of understand what it's like to have a lot of moving pieces. I am a CPDTKA, which means that I took a big, giant exam to show that I have the knowledge to be a certified professional dog trainer. I'm also a behavior consultant. And in fact, behavior is really my true passion. I like dog training, of course, because I think that it really helps families to have a well-behaved housemate, four-legged housemate. But I really love behavior change. And I especially love the idea that we can help our dogs to feel better. So that is where today's talk is going to focus on, actually, is how to help family dogs to feel safe and to feel good when they are in a chaotic, crazy household with kids running around, with parents who are tired and busy and multitasking. And it's a really hard environment. A lot of dog trainers get frustrated working with families who've got kids and dogs because they feel that the families aren't necessarily compliant, they don't necessarily do homework. But that's where it can really be a benefit to be a parent yourself, because you understand the chaos of day-to-day living and you don't judge because you know what it's like to walk in their shoes. But have no fear. If you are a dog professional, because I know I have dog professionals in here and I've got parents. Can you guys let me know? Actually, I'm going to check my comments again. Can you guys let me know if, hold on, I'm making noise here. Let me know. Yeah, I know the sound is off. This is just how it goes. Okay, we've got people here from the UK. This is wonderful. Alexis, hi, friend. Nice to see you here. Okay, so what I want you guys to do, let me know if you're a dog professional or let me know if you're a parent with kids and dogs. This talk is for both of you. I want to help parents to feel less crazy parenting kids and dogs, but I also want dog pros to feel like you don't have to say no. Even if kids aren't totally your zone of genius, I want you to feel like you can say yes to more families, because we're going to talk about some common challenges that come up with families who've got kids and dogs, and we'll talk about some strategies for how to deal with those. So, good. Comments are coming in. This is great. We've got some dog pros in the group. I'm glad to see that. Okay. All right. So let's just talk a little bit about common problems. And I want you guys to chime in. You need to remember I was a teacher, and so I don't love just talking to myself. So I want you guys to be commenting. I'm going to be looking at comments on my phone. I apologize if I'm not looking at you. I'm used to Facebook Live comments showing up on the Facebook. Okay. Yay. Hi, Sarah. I'm glad you're a parent with kids and dogs and you're here. That's awesome. I'm so glad. Susie, you're a dog pro. Alexis, dog pro. Allie, pro. This is great. Giuseppe, tell me about you. I'm excited we have someone from Italy here. This is wonderful. Okay. All right. So tell me what you guys think. If you guys can think of common problems. If you're a dog pro, tell me if you've gotten any calls from parents who are frantic or who are worried about something. Tell me what they were worried about. If you yourself are a parent, like Sarah is, tell me what you've been concerned about. Has anything happened in terms of the relationship between your kids and dogs that has been concerning to you? And if not, that's amazing. First of all, congratulations. And I know there's a bit of a delay with the comments coming in. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to chime in and let me know. And otherwise, if the comments don't come in, I'm going to go ahead and give you the answers, which is kind of cheating, because I really want you guys to come up with the answers yourself. Here we go. Yay. Okay. Allie says young and excited, large dogs and small children. Yes, this is a really common one. So oftentimes I get comments on social media and stuff from people who ask me, my child is too rough with my dog, or my dog is too rough with my child. What do I do? The other common question I get asked a lot is, how do I stop it? Right? And it's really cute. And I like that question, actually, because I think this is an opportunity for us as dog professionals in general and as educated parents, like Sarah is, to take the opportunity to help people to have a mindset shift to say, you know what, there's certain behaviors that we're not actually going to stop. We're not going to be able to prevent certain behaviors because a dog has every right to be a dog and a kid has every right to be a kid. And we're in a family together, and families have these big, busy dynamics. And it's not fair for us to say, nope, be quiet, be seen and not heard, and all that stuff. That's ridiculous. So we're not going to quelch any of that. But what we do need to do is we need to implement some management. We also need to remember one of the biggest issues is that dogs and kids both repeat behaviors that they practice. That's worth repeating. Dogs and kids are very similar, right? If they practice a behavior, even an inappropriate one, they repeat it, right? They repeat what they practice. So our goal, of course, is going to be to say, you know what? I don't really like certain behaviors. I don't like when the dog is chasing the kid around the room, when the kid is screaming in fear. So how can we prevent that from happening in the first place so that they don't repeat it again in the future, right? So this is a really good mindset shift. Now, what we also have to keep in mind is that kids and dogs both benefit from being asked to do an alternate behavior. So what that means is we want kids and dogs to do the things we want them to do instead of the things that we don't want them to do. So, for example, I'm tossing dog treats, by the way, in case you see my arms flailing all over the place. I've got 2 dogs staring at me, and they're being quiet at the moment. So I am rewarding the behavior that I want repeated. Right? So this is good modeling, right? You have to remember also that kids and dogs are both watching you all the time. So whatever behavior you're doing around your dog, your kids are watching you. If you are a dog trainer and you're working with a family who's got kids in the room, they're watching you also. All right, we're getting some more comments. Mouthing is a big issue. I agree. So again, we want to make sure that the dogs are either managed in such a way that they can't practice mouthing in the first place, or we need to give them an appropriate outlet for their mouthing. Now, there's a really great book that I am madly in love with. I actually have it right here. I don't know if you have seen this book yet. This is a book called Meet Your Dog by Kim Brophy. I love it. And it talks a lot about the genetic predispositions for certain behaviors for certain dogs. Types of dogs. And Kim creates some unique categories and puts dogs in these new groupings. They're not the traditional like American Kennel Club groupings. She makes her own groupings. And based on her research, which is amazing and detailed and valid. And she says, okay, sometimes you may experience certain challenges with your dog, such as, let's say, a border collie. So you may complain that your border collie is hurting your children or nipping at their ankles or whatever. But in reality, it's not really ethical or fair to call that a problem behavior and to ask a behavior consultant, behaviorist, dog trainer to stop that from happening, right? Now, we may want to prevent the dog from hurting our child around the house. That totally makes sense. But it's unfair to say that that dog is exhibiting problem behavior when that dog is actually exhibiting behavior that it's been bred to do for hundreds of years, right? So again, a lot of this is mindset shift. Now we can give our dogs an appropriate outlet for those types of behaviors so that if they're going to herd something, maybe it's something productive like a ball. And I haven't seen the workshop yet, but I'm looking for it inside this conference. There's one on urban herding, which I am so excited to learn about. Because if we can give dogs an appropriate thing to herd, then they're going to be less likely to hurt our children, right? Or to be mouthy. Let's see. Sarah says, let's see. Okay, Sarah says she has 2 Rottweilers and 2 kids under the age of 9. Main issue is that she wants to help her kids understand how to keep the dogs calm. The youngest dog is 5 months old. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so for Sarah, one of the main things that we want to work on, and actually for everybody, for pros, parents, everybody, we need to really start teaching dog body language. Safety is a big issue for most parents. If we can keep the dogs calm, if we can prevent the dogs from feeling threatened, growling is great communication. It's a wonderful warning cue that the dog is saying, you know what, I am so uncomfortable right now. And then it's our job to teach our families how to recognize that the dog is uncomfortable, ideally before the growl, right? The growl is pretty much like the smoke alarm is going off and we're really close to a fire. We want to actually get there before that. So if we can start to teach our families how to recognize dog body language, kids especially, right? Then they can have a special job. They can intervene. They can say, hey, mom or dad, or whoever lives at the home, grandparents, I'm noticing that I see the whites around Fluffy's eyes. I think somebody needs to move the toddler away from her, right? Or maybe Fluffy needs to go in her special zone where no kids can go bother her, right? I got a message this morning from somebody who said that their toddler approached the dog's crate and the dog growled at the toddler, right? So we need to set up some really clear boundaries and rules, some of which are kind of non-negotiable. I'm generally very flexible about how families work with their dogs, but I have a few kind of hard and fast rules, right? If a dog is sleeping, has a precious item like a bully stick or a bone, if the dog is eating a meal, if the dog is in a safe zone, those are no-go zones for kids. It's just not negotiable, right? Because respect, the golden rule, are you familiar with the golden rule, which is sort of do unto others as you would have them do unto you? It's a mouthful to say, but I think it's hugely valuable. And I think that it's a very, very much a missed opportunity if we're not teaching our kids how to respect our dogs. By using this as a good sort of example of how to be a good human being, right? Okay, so let's get into, I want to talk about a few other problem behaviors that I hear about. I have some notes over here. Let me just get to those. Okay, so there are some other problems that we can anticipate, right? And these are things that are going to be just really common. We're going to hear about these all the time. So, we're going to hear about resource guarding, right? A lot of times, and I heard about this morning also, that, I get comments that a baby maybe is learning to walk, and babies that learn to walk do this thing we call cruising, where they pull themselves up on stuff and then they scooch along and they hold on, let's say, to the sofa or the couch, and they hold on to the edge of the sofa and the couch as they practice moving their feet and using the muscles of their legs and walking along the edge of the couch. Now, we can get problems if we've got a dog that's resting on the couch and the kid is coming closer and closer to that dog's space. This can be resource guarding. It can also just be crankiness of being bothered while you're resting, right? I know that I can get cranky if I'm bothered while I'm resting, so I have empathy for those dogs. You're going to hear a lot from clients who are worried that their dog is jealous. Now, that's a whole nother topic about whether or not dogs are actually jealous, but what you may actually get are what we call demand behaviors. So it could be that your dog is demanding more attention from you because they're used to getting all the attention. If your dog was your first baby, that can be really problematic then to have your attention be shared elsewhere, right? So you may get more demand barking, you may get a dog pawing at you or hitting at your leg. Now that can be really problematic if you're trying to nurse a brand new baby and your dog is hitting you with their foot. We've got a big problem. And so if we can do some preparation with families before the baby even comes, that's one of the areas of my expertise, and I've got an online class about that. Called Preparing Dog for New Baby. I've also got a workshop called Your First Week Home with Baby and Dog. I can give you guys access for those of you that are dog pros. I can let you know the classes that I offer, and I can even give you a credit if you give referrals, or I can help you learn how to help those clients yourself. So there are some specific things that we need to sort of know and share consistently to help our families. Okay, so jealousy, a lot of times we get calls from families that are worried about how the dog will adapt to the new baby, dog growling at the baby, dog growling at the toddler. We've got people worried about leash manners. If you have a new baby and you're pushing a stroller, and then you've got a dog is pulling on the leash, it can be really scary. We don't want the stroller to knock over. We don't want the dog to pull us over if they go after a squirrel or another dog. It can be very hard to manage all those kinds of things. The dogs steal the kids' toys, so it helps to work on issues like drop it or leave it, to deal with boundaries, right? Waiting at doors, mat training, those kinds of things are really helpful. Sometimes we get a lot of barrier frustration. One of the biggest, most important things that when we as professionals are helping families who've got kids and dogs is to implement management, because sometimes the best medicine is just to prevent the thing from happening in the first place. And that's not a cop out. I don't want you to feel that setting up a pen or a baby gate is a cop out at all, because I do think that if we can teach our dogs to be relaxed behind a barrier, that is good training. Yes, it's management, but it is also training, right? And so we may be dealing with dogs who have barrier frustration, and we need to teach them how to be relaxed behind a barrier. But teaching dogs how to relax and be calm is super valuable for all of our clients anyway. So that's going to be really important. So those are some common problems that we can anticipate when we've got families who have kids and dogs, whether you're the parent, whether you have kids and you're thinking about getting a dog. All of those are issues that you need to think about. And if you're a dog pro, then you need to realize that you may be getting calls from people who are experiencing all these different kinds of situations. Now, we have to remember a few things with every case, right? Number one, again, I'm going to repeat this a bunch of times. Dogs repeat what they practice, and we need to give them alternate behaviors. So if the dog has any behaviors under his belt, like a sit or a down or a wait, then we need to ask the dog for that. If the dog is jumping and knocking over visitors or play dates, kids coming over, although we have COVID, so that might not be happening, then we need to sort of anticipate the fact that we need to ask the dog to do something where it's not jumping anymore, right? So it could do a sit, it could do a spin, it could do tricks, it could lay on a mat, but all of those things are incompatible with jumping. And so we need to make sure that we are setting our dog up for success. Now, I do have a bone to pick with social media, and I want to give you all a job. Okay, I know you didn't sign up for getting an extra job while you came to my workshop today, but I think this is really important. I want us to work together, whether you are a parent or a dog professional. I want us to work together, to come together, to try to propagate safer images on social media. Because I don't know about you, but I have seen so many photos on social media that have given me so many more gray hairs than I used to have since I started this business. Kids sitting on dogs, kids leaning on dogs, newborn baby photo shoots where they're leaning the brand new baby on the dog. I mean, God forbid the dog gets up and the baby falls to the floor, or the dog decides to use its teeth on the baby for any reason. I mean, people put their dogs in horrible circumstances all the time, and it's so dangerous. And the problem is that people often copy what they see online. Yeah, Allie, I agree. Yeah, dogs and kids, I get serious anxiety. Alexis, preach. Yes, totally. Preach. Let's do this. So I actually have some graphics that I was starting to make asking people, come on, let's pool together some safe photos of kids and dogs. And while we're at it, I'm just going to say it. Can we please start sharing photos that have people of color, that have families that are not traditional heterosexual families? Can we show kids who are adopted of different races? My son is adopted from Guatemala. I'm trying really hard, and for those of you that know me and follow some of my posts, you know that I am starting to share a variety of family types, people's shapes, people's just everything, right? Because that's the world we're in. So social media, we need to do better. And I think that as an industry and as parents, we need to start sharing safe photos, not dangerous photos, because I'm seeing photos constantly where the dog is looking at the kid. We could see the whites around the eyes. The dog is leaning away. And this can happen for any number of reasons, right? The dog might be scared of the noisy toy that the kid is pushing, or maybe the dog doesn't want to be touched and has not offered consent. Okay, we've got some comments. Giuseppe. Let's see. Yes, exactly. So there are some kids, of course, who are not at the same developmental capacity as other children. And they, it's interesting that you said that. I love that you said that because I've worked with a lot of families who have special needs children. And in fact, if you guys need a resource, I do have a really good blog post. I will try to link a bunch of stuff in the comments when this is over. I have a blog post called How to Choose a Dog for Your Special Needs Family. It's possible that your child has a variety of special needs. Maybe they have sensory issues, or maybe they're extra sensitive to sound. If you have a child who has extra sensitivity to sound, you're obviously not going to be setting your family up for success if you get maybe a terrier. And I can say this as a mom of a terrier. I'm not being insulting, I promise. I love terrier. Here, I'll show you my terrier here. There he is. So I'm not picking on any one breed in particular, but maybe a Chihuahua who's noisy and barks is not going to be the best choice if you've got a family where you have a kiddo who is sensitive to sound. That's just not nice, right? We have to think about how to set people up for success. You also have to realize some dogs have special needs as well, right? We have some dogs, a lot of people are, bless their heart, they rescue dogs from all kinds of crazy situations, but some of those dogs are ill-equipped to handle the ruckus, active families that they often land in. And there is no shame in acknowledging, you know what? This dog actually isn't very happy in this home. And that's okay, right? So one thing that you may be called to do if you are a dog professional and you are working with families who've got kids and dogs is you may have to have some hard conversations, right? This happens a lot. A lot of times my clients cry when we're having consults because they are having sort of this real talk about whether or not they've made the right choice or whether or not the dog would be happier elsewhere. And that's okay because we can help them to get a dog that is better suited for their family. And they're not a failure and they're not giving up. It's not a cop-out. It's strong. I think making a decision like that makes you strong. But you need to give it your whole heart and you need to be really compassionate with people and not judge them if they are worried about the safety of their children, right? They have every right to be worried about their kids. It's just sort of a parental thing. It just happens when you care about these little humans that you're responsible for. Okay, if you guys have any other comments or questions, please share your stories. If you have had experiences with clients where you've had to go through something, please share it here. I think it's also valuable. Alexis says rehoming is not failure if it means you're unable to provide for that dog's needs and give them an environment they can thrive in. Yeah, absolutely. Right? I think not to pick on border collies, but I see so many border collies living in these environments where they don't get to run and chase and herd things. And I kind of think of it like a bull in a china shop, and it just isn't always the right environment. It doesn't mean every border collie has to live on a farm. Like I said, there are other outlets where the dog can engage in natural behaviors. Even if you use a toy like a flirt pole, you can engage some of that natural behavior, give them an appropriate outlet. But again, we really have to give dogs the enrichment. The other book that I love, while I'm at it, is this one. This book is such a great tool for anybody with dogs. These two are amazing, right? These will help families be more successful with their dogs. So, plug for these. I'm not making any money by plugging these. They're just amazing. I need you to know about them for your clients and for you because they really help. They're incredible. Oh gosh, yeah, same with a Malinois. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Mals are interesting. You hear people talk a lot about Maligators and stuff like that because I've seen crazy videos of what those dogs are capable of. And they need an outlet, and it's inhumane to not give them the outlet that they need, I think. Okay, you want to get into some stories? I want to talk to you a little bit about some clients that I've had. And I want to start by saying that I'm just sharing things that have happened. Okay. I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not picking on anybody. I just want you to know the types of calls that I get from people. And I think that they're really important. Okay, hold on one second. I'm writing a note to myself so I don't forget to tell you about this one story. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. This was one of my earliest clients. I don't even know how she found out about me. Oh, yeah, you know what, Alexis? Where is it? Hold on. I have that book here too. Hold on. That's the other one. You're right. This is the other one I recommend. This is the trifecta. This is the best book. If you have clients with kids, kids love this book. You have to see it. Look at how cute this is. It's the cutest book ever. Adults love it. Kids love it. So those are my 3 top books, like forever. Yeah. And I keep them by my desk all the time. I reference them constantly. Thank you. I'm really glad, Allie. Yeah, Allie, thank you. You know what's really fun about this book too? Is if you've got kids, some kids aren't super chatty at the dinner table. It depends on their age. And so I like to use a book like this as what I call it table talk. They used to have these like sets of cards that were in like a clear plastic case, and you could keep it on your table. And then you could pull out a card and it would have a topic that the family could talk about at dinner. And it was fun for parties or whatever. But I like to use this book for table talk. And what we do is you can open it up to any random page like this, and you could cover up the words, and you could ask kids, let's talk about what do you see? How is this dog feeling? What makes you think that? And then everybody can open the book to a different page, and you can talk about different body language. It's so helpful. I swear, the key to everything with kids and dogs, if you can understand dog body language, you guys are set. Okay, I'm so excited. Yeah, Dog Decoder app is a resource that I share. So I have a workshop. I'm going to, here, let me copy and paste the link here into the comments. I don't know if it'll let me do this. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have a page. I just pasted a comment. Hopefully you guys can see it. It is it's a page where you can tell me if you're interested in learning about my workshop for dog professionals. I recently offered a live workshop for dog professionals called Dog and Child Essentials, and Barley, good girl, thank you. It has a really good resource guide, and I link to the Dog Decoder app as well as some of these books. I also have some templates, which are handouts that you can customize with your own logo and hand out to families. It includes so many different things, but that's a really useful resource. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, and you pop your email into that page that I send you to, then I will follow up with you and tell you about the workshop and other resources that I can provide for you, just to help you be as effective as possible with clients who've got, oh good, the link went, clients who've got kids and dogs. So, all right, let's start. So one of the very first clients that I get this frantic phone call from a woman, and poor thing. So what had happened was she had a toddler and a small dog. So luckily this dog was only like 20 pounds or so. And there was a babysitter over, and while the babysitter was over, the dog bit the toddler in the face. And the reason that happened was because the dog was a resource guarder. The parents didn't think to tell the babysitter about that, because you just don't really think it's going to be an issue. I mean, most people are wearing rose-colored glasses, so that's something you have to think about moving forward, whether you're a parent or whether you're a dog professional. Is you should just assume that most people are simply hoping for the best. And that's the strategy that they are living by, at the moment, is they're wearing rose-colored glasses, they're hoping everything is gonna be okay. Of course, it doesn't always end up that way. So this woman called me, she was really upset. Her father was an old school large animal veterinarian, and he was insisting that the dog be euthanized because the dog bit the toddler. No, the toddler didn't have sustained damage. There were like a couple of dents where the teeth went. They did not break skin. The baby was fine, but it was scary. It was so scary. And so she was worried about her child. She was worried that she had an aggressive dog, and her father was giving her all this pressure to put the dog to sleep because the dog used its teeth on the child. Now, I used to be of the mind that dogs should not use their teeth on people, right? And I was ignorant and pretty inexperienced, and I used to think, well, if a dog bites a child, that's it. You know, the dog can live somewhere else, but the dog shouldn't live there. But I have since changed my mind. And while I don't really think that bites are great, I do think that a dog has every right to defend itself. And if we're not going to get in the way and prevent that from happening, I'm not saying the toddler got what it deserved. The dog should not have bitten. However, the dog has every right to defend itself. And dogs have teeth, and they will use their teeth. The good news was, and I was able to explain to her that the dog used restraint. The dog did not break skin. The dog did not bite and shake. There were a lot of things the dog chose not to do. And those were things that we decided to celebrate. We decided to celebrate the fact that the dog did a quick back off kid. And then the dog retreated. And the kid went away, right? It was effective. Now, again, say it again, dogs repeat what they practice. So we have to make sure that moving forward, that child never can put that dog in that situation again. Or that the babysitter never puts that dog in that situation, or the parents or the grandparents. I had another client that the dog bit the toddler on the grandmother's watch. God, she felt horrible. These things could have been prevented if management had been in place. So I do have a guide. I have a babysitter safety guide. And it's something that is a freebie on my website, which is poochparenting.net. You can go and get that. It's also part of the resource guide for the dog and child essentials class. It's in there. But it's a babysitter safety guide. There should be a very specific plan in place. When the child is eating, the dog should be here. When the dog is eating, the child should be here. When it's bath time, the dog should be here, the child should be here. When the babysitter is on their phone checking social media, the kid should be here, the dog should be here. It's very specific, and it's not really negotiable, and it's something that every family needs to explore with their caregiver, whether that's a grandparent. Now, this can be tricky because grandparents often think they know everything because they raised kids and they always had dogs, and so they know all the things, but they don't know your dog and they don't know your kid to the level that you do. And so I love grandparents. In fact, I have 3 grandmothers inside my membership for families with kids and dogs because they have their grandkids over so often that they want to make sure that their grandkids and dogs have a good relationship. So that's amazing. But we need to set them up for success. So that involves super clear communication, making sure we set things up. Now, moving forward, what we did is we worked on a variety of behaviors for the dog. So first of all, we changed where the dog ate. So the dog no longer had food. They were free feeding. So there was always a bowl of food out in the kitchen, which created tension every time the child moved around the kitchen. So the bowl went away. We stopped doing free feeding, and they started feeding the dog in a bathroom with a closed door. And the dog would have the opportunity to eat. If the dog didn't eat, they picked up the food and offered it again, 1 or 2 other times during the day. So the dog got to eat essentially 2 meals a day in a very controlled space. So the dog could feel safe eating in the bathroom. The child was never then at risk just moving around the house per normal. So that was one thing we did. We also changed behavior around family meal times. So what was happening before is that the dog would sit right underneath the high chair where the kid was sitting and doing what dogs do best, which is cleaning up after messy toddlers, which was great. But what we realized was happening is that there was the creation of tension between the dog, like waiting, drop the food, drop the food, drop the food. And it was really creating an unhealthy energy around meal times. And so what we did is we began by giving the dog a station. that the dog went to on for meal times, and we began that with a tether. So we had the dog tethered at a station, so the dog couldn't get up and sneak under the high chair, because at first the dog had to learn that. And we faded the tether, so the dog learned that by remaining at station, good things would happen. So the mom would toss treats to the dog on the station. Rewarding behavior we want repeated. Again, right? Common theme here. And eventually they would start to get ready for dinner, and the dog would go to her station. It was awesome. So that just worked out beautifully. They also changed the dog's couch privileges. So the dog had been given free reign of the furniture, but one other growling situation happened on the sofa. And so what we did is we changed the structure so that the dog was only allowed on the furniture when the baby was not in the room. So when the baby was at daycare while the parents worked, the dog could be on the couch, or once the baby went to bed, the dog could be on the couch. Invite only. So that changed a little bit of the structure of the dog feeling that it was her couch and that the toddler was not allowed on that couch anymore. So a combination, again, of management and training. We prevented the dog from feeling like it needed to guard anything. The grandfather, who was the veterinarian, realized that this could be managed. And so that was really helpful. So that was really good. And the dog is still happily living with his family, and all is good. Okay, now I want to share another example that is very different. Let me just check for your comments here. Hi, Sandra. I'm glad you're here. Nice to see you. Okay. All right. Here's a story of a mom. She called me because I get kind of weird about this case because it's really just very interesting. She called me because her dog had bitten 5 children on the nose. I'm going to just let you sit with that for a second. 5 children. The dog had bitten 5 children, and she wanted to know how to stop that behavior from happening. So can you guys, let's chat for a second about that. I don't want to bash her. This is not a bashing thing. This is, I want to be productive. So let's be productive and constructive. I'm waiting for some comments to come in. The mom, I'm going to give you a little more information here. So the mom described herself, these are her words, not my words. She described herself as a free range parent. Okay. The kids that were bitten in the face were between 5 and 7 years old. So they were young. They were really young. Okay, Alexis, glad you were here. Thanks. Okay, so this dog had bitten many children between the ages of 5 and 7 years old in the face. The mom described herself as a free range parent. Hi, Kirsty. No, these were totally separate incidents. They weren't like all at the same time. It wasn't like bite, bite, bite. It was like, a bite one day, and then a week later, another bite, and then another bite. These were totally separate times. So no, not in quick succession. So a free range parent. So I asked her for more clarification on what that meant, because I have my own interpretation of what that means, but I wanted to make sure that I was understanding her language. And what she said was that, with the pandemic, she was working from home in a bedroom, and she often had the door closed, and the dog was on the other side of the door with her child. Her child had been bitten, but also visitors had been bitten. And then she explained to me that sometimes her daughter would bring over friends without telling her, and the dog would bite them. And she didn't even know it was happening because she was in her office doing her work with the door closed. So obviously, management could have prevented that, right? So we had to have a really serious discussion about her parenting style, and if she felt that her parenting style was compatible with a dog who had stranger danger. because that was essentially, the dog did not like visitors coming into the home. So the dog was somewhat territorial, and the dog had fear issues. So we had to have a really hard talk, and there were a lot of tears. She cried a lot, and we were really open, and I was very clear and very honest that that a dog who is afraid needs structure, needs to feel supported, needs to feel safe, and needs to really trust 100% that the adult in the house is going to protect the dog, right? And that was not happening because the mom was in the office with the door closed and the dog was on the other side. So we talked about ways that she could keep the dog. We also talked about the legal liability of having a dog that repeatedly bites children in the face, and that should any of those children have parents who are litigious in any way, that she could be sued and she could be kicked out. The city could take the dog, euthanize it, whatever, right? There's a history of this biting behavior, right? And so we really had to have a serious chat about how her parenting style would need to change significantly, and the dog could never be out of her sight, and the dog should always be tethered to her body, and she would have to prevent this from happening. They would have to have a routine where the daughter couldn't bring over friends unannounced and all of that stuff. And she said she just wasn't willing to do that. And she has every right to parent the way that she wants to parent, but it's not fair to put that dog in that situation. And so what we ended up doing is we talked a lot about the dog, what's good about the dog, what she likes about the dog, other issues. The dog was afraid of men, all kinds of things. But we ended up talking a lot about the dog's behavior in general, and I helped her write a profile, an adoption profile for the dog, and she reached out to some local rescues, and we were very specific about the type of home that this dog should live in, and she ended up finding a new home for the dog where the dog could be supported and given the kind of life where it didn't feel like it needed to use its teeth on people's face. So that was a really scary one because, kids were at risk. It was dangerous. It was scary. And she didn't fully appreciate the danger that she was putting people in, but we were able to work through it and talk about it, and she was super excited. I'm just looking for more comments. Okay. She was really, really happy that I helped her write up an adoption profile that could highlight some of this dog's strengths. And I was very clear about the dog's weaknesses too, because it's really not fair to move a ticking time bomb from one home to another. Okay, let's see. I have so many different clients we can talk about. Okay, let's talk about sleep. Safe sleep is a big topic when it comes to dogs and newborn babies especially. There are a lot of tragic news stories that talk about dogs killing infants and things like that. And in fact, I've talked about that on my podcast, which is called the Pooch Parenting Podcast. I do occasional news commentary stories. Those are shorter episodes, and we just talk about how tragedies could be avoided. I got called by a client. They were so cute. I love them. She was pregnant. They have 3 really big pit bulls, madly in love with those dogs. And one of the pit bulls was incredibly bonded to the husband, this giant man. It was so cute. They were such a cute family. Anyway, this dog, they knew that they had to get the dogs out of their bedroom at night because the baby was going to be sleeping in their room when the baby was born. And so they had practiced. They took one of my classes, Preparing Dog for New Baby, and they knew, okay, we have to change the dog's sleeping arrangements because we don't want changes to happen after the baby comes home. We want all the changes in our routine to happen before the baby comes home, because you don't want the dog to associate all these new changes with the appearance of the baby, because we don't want them to think that the baby is the cause of all the new mayhem, right? So ideally what we want to do is change the dog's sleeping routine and where they sleep and all that stuff before the baby even comes home. So they worked on that. But they had so many problems with this one dog who was so bonded to the husband. The dog could not settle on the other side of a baby gate. The dog was stressing. None of them were sleeping. It was really hard on the pregnant mom. And they were really struggling with trying to figure out a solution where the dog could remain in the room with them, but still be safe with a newborn also in the same room. So in this case, we really had to think outside the box. The dog was not crate trained, so we were not going to just stick the dog in a box. That was not going to work. And the dog really wanted to sleep with the dad on the bed. But again, you cannot have a dog on the bed if you have a newborn in the bed, because when you're sleeping, you're not watching. So that's not going to work out. So what we ended up doing is the dad built a co-sleeper for the dog. This is so cool. Okay, so their bedroom was spaced such that their bed was here, and there was a teeny bit of wall space between the bed and the wall. A teeny bit of space between the bed and the wall on each side. So on the mom's side of the bed, she had like the bassinet thing where the baby was going to sleep right next to her within arm's reach so that she could feed the baby in the middle of the night. The dad had a same amount of space on his side of the bed. So he built a platform, put a dog bed on it. We put a bolt in the platform, and we tethered the dog at night to the spot so that the dog could not go to the baby side of the bed. There was going to be no risk. It was going to be the dog was tethered right next to the dad, then the mom was there, and then the newborn baby was there. And so he built this co-sleeper for this gigantic pit bull who was just this big baby himself. And that's what they did. And so sometimes you have to think outside the box and you have to get really creative. And you need to think about how you can help families move forward. Now, the other option that they could have done is the dad and the dog could have slept in another room while the mom and the baby stayed in their bed, right? But they didn't have an extra bedroom for that to happen. But we have to sometimes think outside the box. And so I thought that was a really fun one, and really adorable because, you know, they were just like this giant, big, tough guy and this big pit bull dog, and then they snuggled together at night. It was so sweet. I love that so much. Okay. A good example. I'm working with a woman who is a foster parent. So she has her own toddler. She has a pitty also, Bruno, who loves her toddler and does just fine in their home as is. But she recently got a foster placement of another toddler and a baby. And she had them in her house for 3 months. And Bruno just couldn't handle it. He was having a really, really hard time having these other kids in the house. And he was having a harder time with the toddler than with the baby, but he had a hard time with both at first. So again, in that case, we worked a lot on rewarding him for calm behavior on the other side of a barrier. He had restricted movement inside the house, so he couldn't get everywhere that he used to be able to go. So we had to really limit where he could be when the kids were awake. We did a lot of sort of what we call open bar, close bar, which is the concept that when the foster kids appeared, the dog got good things. Treats would come over. He would get special toys and chewies. And then when the foster kids would go out of sight, then those goodies would stop. And so that was essentially showing him, we were trying to build positive associations that when these kids show up, that good things happen. So that was a really interesting thing, and bless her heart, she was bringing in these foster kids. It was incredible, but that can be really hard. I've got another client, Karen, who is a mom of 9 or 10-year-old twins, a boy-girl twin pair, and the twins are pretty wild, and she's got two dogs, one of which barks incessantly, and the other one she got at the beginning of COVID and did not get adequately socialized. And the consequence with that one is that then when they started to bring home kids recently for play dates, the dog had major stranger danger and was barking at the visitors. So they have one dog who is just a barker. She's just really sensitive, wound tight. And the other dog, poorly socialized and was just afraid of visitors. And so she was dealing with compliance issues. So she had a lot of trouble, has still. We're ongoing, where she is just so overwhelmed as a parent that she just sometimes doesn't put in the effort that she knows she should, because she just doesn't have enough spoons to do it. She's just overwhelmed and tired. The kids are not compliant. The kids, kids are testy. They're 10-year-old twins and they're trying to be independent. They don't always want to listen to their mom. And things can get really chaotic in their house. And they really need to implement more separation. And so you will find oftentimes that some families appear to be not compliant with the things that you're recommending. And it's not at all because they aren't trying or because they don't care. It's just that they don't have any bandwidth left to do it, right? They have to get through the day. They're feeding multiple children. There's crazy energy in the house, and with homeschooling and all this other stuff because of the pandemic, you just sometimes don't have enough bandwidth. Her life would be easier if she just put up some barriers, but the problem is the twins would open the baby gates to go run outside and then they wouldn't shut the baby gates. So this is a work in progress, and I would love your feedback on that sort of thing. I do have a reward chart for kids. That's part of the resource guide that comes with my Dog and Child Essentials class. I also have a freebie version of the reward chart on my website, where, she could implement a structure where she is, again, rewarding behavior she wants repeated from her children so that her kids become more compliant. But, she's struggling. And so that's a really hard one. I have a lot of other stories that I can share, and I would be happy to talk to you about those, but I am running out of time, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions if you have them. Again, I'm going to post in the comments if you guys are interested in my workshop, then please go ahead and put your email in that thing, and I'll follow up with you and get you connected to that workshop. It gives you a ton of resources if you're interested in working more with dogs and kids. It should improve your confidence so that you feel like you're able to say yes to more clients. You can also just reach out to me. I'm Pooch Parenting on Facebook and Instagram. My website is poochparenting.net. I'll put that in the comments too. And I've got a podcast called the Pooch Parenting Podcast for parents with kids and dogs. I know some dog pros listen to it and find it helpful, but it's really for parents just to make your life easier. Just on another note, I do have an affiliate program. So if you guys, send anybody to my classes, you'll get 30% of what they pay me. So if you want to send anybody on over, that will be great. Rachel, oh my gosh, yes. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, good. Yeah, and really, if you want to specialize later in working with dogs and kids, Rachel, just connect with me, and I'm an open book. I'll share what I can with you and give you whatever support you need. You can friend me on Facebook too. I'm happy to do that with you. Allie, yes to affiliates. Yeah, it's a pretty new program for me, this affiliate program, and I'm not doing it well. I mean, obviously people get paid when they refer people to me. That's not what I mean. I mean, I just don't know how to support you as well as possible. So help me out. But I have some graphics for you guys that you can share and text that you can share and things like that. But yeah, you can just message me here if you want to learn more about the affiliate program. Let me just tell you the list of classes that I have available that would connect with that. So I have 2 online on-demand classes. One is called Preparing Dog for New Baby, and one is called Parenting Toddlers and Dogs. Then I have an on-demand workshop called Your First Week Home with Baby and Dog. And then I have a workshop for baby professionals, so like doulas and lactation consultants and stuff, called Dog and Baby Safety. And that's for baby professionals who really don't know much about dogs at all, because I want to help them be part of a really good care team, you know. And then lastly, I have my dog and child essentials for dog professionals. And I do want to let you know that I have CEUs approved for that class through CPDT, I think, or APDT. I don't know. I think CPDT. I have 1.5 CEUs approved. So if you need continuing education units, you can get those for that class. And that class got great reviews, so I'm really pleased. And then I also have a template pack with that class that you can purchase, which is a bunch of handouts that you can give to clients. He's trying to get comfortable. And you could customize it with your own logo if you'd like to, and your own brand colors in Canva. And that'll save you a ton of time too. So let me just see what else we have. Allie, thank you. Oh, Rachel, yeah, I'm happy to connect. I think that's great. Victoria, hi, nice to see you. You have a 10-month-old baby. Oh, and a resource garter. How do you start taking them off the sofa to prevent issues? That's a great question. So I like to just teach an off cue. So first of all, for me, this is how I like to do it. If a dog won't get off the couch when I ask them to, then they lose couch privileges, unfortunately. So what I tend to do is I try to make it really easy and really valuable to the dog to get off. So I usually toss treats off the couch and I say off, right? So I toss the treats, then say off. Now, if the dog isn't a food dog, then you could toss a ball and say off. But essentially, you want to give something valuable to the dog for leaving. And then they associate the word off with the action of going off to get the thing. I hope that makes sense. Then if a dog won't get off when I ask them to, then I tend to block the couch. And sometimes I'll put a pen in front of it, or I'll block it, or I'll put up a baby gate so they just don't have access to the room where the couch is. But I think that when you've got a toddler, you have a 10-month-old, so you're going to be getting some cruising happening. So your baby is going to literally be like holding on to the couch to walk. And if your dog is up there and is guarding that space, the problem is the dog's face and the baby's face will then be at the same level, and we get a lot of bites to the face with couch resource guarding kinds of situations. So I want to make sure that we don't set either of them up for something dangerous. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm really glad you were here with me today. Thank you so much. Pippin says bye. And I'm here for you. Just reach out if there's anything that I can do for you. If you've got questions about kids and dogs, if you just want to vent or complain, or if you're a parent with kids and dogs, I have a special Facebook group just for parents with kids and dogs called Parenting Kids and Dogs. It's not for dog trainers, so don't be offended if I don't let you in. But if you're a parent with kids and dogs, join us over there. We've got over 2,000 people in there, so that's pretty great, called Parenting Kids and Dogs. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate your time, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of this virtual conference. Talk to you soon. Bye.